Here we go! Word power made easy. Now today we're gonna do session number 8. Now session number 8 is a pretty big of a deal here because the problem is it's just one root with several stuff. So let's get to start with psych. Alright, psych. This is a pretty important root here because psych is just psychology, as in psych, spirit, the soul, the mind, everything. Now let me explain this in more detailed depth. The spirit, the soul, the mind. Those are pretty much the only things that describe our brains. Our mind, our soul, our spirit, whatever you call it. It's pretty important. And you need to take care of your mental well-being. And since you have to take care of your mental well-being, you're going to need a whole array of doctors to go ahead and treat you with that. So today we're just going to talk about 5 of these end roots. And we're going to go ahead and do this. Now, psych. Spirit, soul, mind. Now, psych, when you add logos, you get psychologist. And this is a person who studies the mind, or the psychologist, the study of the mind. Like a psychologist. And because of that, loads of things actually start happening. Psychologists are the people who studies the mind, and they're the one who helps people treat the mind, as they're the ones who've literally studied that darn thing. And since they're the ones who study that darn thing, go ahead and do it extremely well, and they'll be able to do it in no time at all. And then we're gonna have to add an ick to that. Psychic. Now, what the heck is a psychic? Now, a psychic is just like those, not those kinds of people who are like, we project, we can read your minds. Well, sort of. That's what lots of people actually think a psychic is. Psychic is basically just to read your mind, but most ordinary psychics are just frauds. Sorry, but yes, they're all frauds. However, there are some people who claim they're psychics, and they do have some sort of reading mind powers too, but they're basically using things that they've learned in a book. Let me explain. Now, you can use empathy to basically try to read someone's mind. Although you can't exactly read someone's mind, these people can actually go ahead and know what you're feeling. Although they can't predict your future, like, you're gonna have 8 kids, or you're gonna have 2 husbands, you're gonna divorce twice and have 3 husbands. Like, those kinds of things, you can't predict that. And, like, also they can't even, also if they had enough information, they could just do it. Also, psychics can't just do anything by just taking out a random set of cards and, like, using a crystal ball. No. That's not how a psychic works. Apparently, psychics do claim that they can do that, but as far as I'm concerned, there's no legitimate psychic. Like, unless psychologists are psychics. Then we have pathos, which means suffering of the disease. Now, psychopathic. Now, let me explain how this seems to work out. Now, when you add psych with pathos, you get a psychopathic. Like a psychopath is just a person who's suffering from severe mental or emotional disorder. Like a psychopath is a person like, he's crazy, he's mad, he's emotional damage. He's also probably got some mental damage, those kind of things. And since emotional damage has been accidentally turned into a meme by Stephen Ho, I think that's how you pronounce his name, whatever it is, you basically just go ahead and do anything you want. Well, sort of. At least your brain is telling you that this is anything you want, but you yourself is actually telling you something else. Let me explain. Now, psychopath is just psychopathic is just the description of a psychopath. And we all hate psychopaths, right? Yeah. And then we're gonna have to add the word soma to the end of psych. And this gives you psychosomatic. And this means it delineates the most powerful influence on the mind, unconsciously, usually. Like, it basically gives you a powerful influence on your mind as long as you yourself is unconscious. And yeah. And you can also use this to actually talk about psychoanalysis. And psychoanalysis is a technique that is deeply, exhaustively probing into the like, it's a technique that goes into your mind and probes it while you're unconscious. It studies your mind when you're unconscious, and that's what psychoanalysis is. I mean, literally, the name is right there. Analysis. Psychoanalysis. It studies your brain. Then we finally have therapy. Now, this is actually pretty much the easiest one, too. Psychotherapy, this is pretty easy because psychotherapy is just therapy of the mind. And then it's also practiced by psychotherapists, obviously. And psychotherapy itself is pretty important, too, because of how it's actually used in these terms. Psychotherapists, psychotherapy, they're all pretty darn important. And that's everything I literally have to say. Or is it? Well, psychs psychologists, like everything here is actually from Greek root. And a few Latin roots I've actually which their way into the words of psychos. But however, there's more things that I cannot tell you about, like psychos or like the study of what psychologists study. But this is just word choice and power of words. But if I had to end this note with a higher note, now I'll probably just have to go ahead and explain to you a bit more about this. So let me just go ahead and do that. Now, as a review, psychologists are the people who studies the mind. Psychology is the study of the mind, and the psychic is the reader of the minds. Psychopath is a person who's suffering from emotional damage or mental damage, and a psychosomatic is a psychosomatic person is someone who's dealing with the powerful influence of the mind, well, usually when they're unconscious. And psychoanalysis is the analyzing of your psychology, your mind, when you're unconscious. And psychotherapy is like therapy of the mind, and it is practiced by psychotherapists. And that's pretty much all I actually have to say. So until next time, beautiful people out there. Why did I say that? I hope to see you guys soon. Until next time, John out. Peace.